Welcome back to the channel, DIY Mechanics of the Internet. Hey, carpenter bees, y'all need to find another spot to go. Why do you gotta be right there? Anyway. Today's project is me standing right here in my hatch so that I can see and I don't have the morning sun blaring me in the face. Today's project is working on the rear suspension of my 2013 Ford C-Max. Now, I'd done a previous video, my inspection video, where I had a few concerns I was trying to validate. Concern one was the passenger rear hub bearing was going out. We confirmed that, so I have a new hub. And then I had a noise on the driver's side. I was trying to investigate what that was, and it come to find out that the control arm, the bushing that goes at the end of the control arm where it mounts to the body, has left the chat entirely. So putting this together, then I was figuring out how did I want to approach this. I already need new bearings, and I'm assuming these control arms are original, so those bushings are shot. I could go to Dorman and get a replacement bushing and press a new bushing in, and I can get new hubs. However, in my opinion, it was easier to just buy two new control arms, which came with a bushing, new hubs as well. That way I can unbolt the old control arm and bolt in the new one, and everything is all brand new. I don't have to fight anything. With that being said, what I have here is just over $1,000. It's like, wow, with shipping from Tosca, this is $1,300. I've got two Motorcraft shocks, brand new. I have two lower front control arms, because I'm sure these bushings are probably shot. I've got two brand new hubs, and I have two control arms. This alone were $200 a piece. The hubs are about $190 a piece. And let's also not forget the hardware to put all this together. I went to the dealer. This is $400 worth of hardware. Actually, I should say this is $300 worth of hardware, because in here they gave me the lower control arm cam bolts that adjust for the toe that mount to the subframe. I'm not replacing the lower control arm, so I don't really need those bolts. Those bolts are 47 bucks a piece. So I'm gonna return those when the dealership opens next week and get my money back from those. So this is about $1,300 in hardware. And that's new bolts for the hub, new bolts for the shocks, new hardware for the lower control arm, the front lower control arm as well. All new hardware. With that out of the way, wow. So to jack this up, since I'm pulling this whole knuckle out, I think I'm going to jack up by the rear subframe. And fight my jack to get underneath there. Ooh, is that gonna be able to reach all the way up there? It kind of is, albeit barely. Let's also chalk the front wheels because my driveway is kind of at a slope. Although I'm not lifting the front end up, I still want some extra precaution. Also going to put a small piece of plywood with the jack stand to kind of hold the ass end of this vehicle up, because this is where the battery sits. There's a lot of weight right here. So now I'm just going to try and align this up with the rear subframe. The middle portion of the subframe, where the control arms kind of mount to. And lifting it here should be able to allow me to lift both sides of this vehicle. Now I have some room to work. We need a jack stand. Well, fuck. This is the part of issues that you run into. You know what, maybe I should replace those cam bolts. Looking at them, I might have to lower this back down a little bit and move my jack to my right so that I can put the jack stand on the actual cross member and not where the control arm mounts to the subframe. Okay. Now, I should be able to okay. So here we're on the passenger side with the bad hub. So first thing is, put your ears on. I think this is a size 19. Zappy-doo. What's our full battery? When I did the driver's side, I actually didn't use the impact that much. It was mostly hand tools. Somebody's been here before based on the driver's side. Hey. Now, looking at the lug nuts, they actually don't look that bad. They look dirty, but they're not split and they're not swollen. Somebody had done a brake job on this at some point, and I didn't like it. I'm gonna have to do brakes. The driver's side had uneven pad wear. The inside was worn out pretty bad, and the rotor was really, really bad. And judging by this side looks a little bit better. So now, let's scoot you guys over here so that we can see. We're gonna take this rotor apart. There are two caps right here. Remove the two caps. And then there is this spring that's right here where my hand is at. It was a pain in the ass to get it off on the driver's side. Part of me thinks you're probably going to want to put anti-seize on the tip of this spring to pull this spring apart. Because if not, it might get lodged inside this caliper. Kind of like what mine is doing right now. Kind of like that. These tips can get seized inside this caliper. Now, the slide pins are an Allen key size 7, I do believe. 3/4 inch probably isn't needed for this side. Or these are 3/8 inch size. I need to learn my sizing. Ouch. Now when I did the driver's side, getting these slide pins out became a pain in the ass. Is this? These guide pins seem to have very long threads. So right here we have to remove the caliper bracket, size 13 bolt. I have a deep well socket, but if you do, it goes through the knuckle like this. Just a small extension to get over the bump stop right here on the lower control arm. And then this should easily come on. There we go. Well, what the fudge? There we go. Nope. There we go. Loosen it up, and then the top one's the same way. Oh my God, what the hell did this? I'm gonna have to come back around to get better leverage. Back here. There we go. Now, with that loose, size 13 wrench, we'll make quick work of it. Oh, somebody has been here, because the rotor's coming undone, which tells me it is not seized to the hub, which is a good thing. Well, what the heck? Oh, we're gonna want a 13 ratchet for that as well, aren't we? And then we have a 3/8 ratchet. And then we'll make quick work of removing this caliper. Or it will just be a pain in my ass, one or the other. Well, come on. Probably should not use wobble sockets when doing this. There we go. Now, our bracket comes off. I'm gonna have to clean this up. The procedure does not say putting caliper grease on the slide areas. I did on the other side, but I did not put caliper grease on the slide pins. This rotor should come off, but I am going to need a brake job in the future. Well, this hub is different. Somebody's been here. Somebody has been here, because the hub that I saw on the driver's side had ridges, an inner and an outer ridge. This one doesn't have anything. This is all smooth. And the OEM hub has the inner ridge and the inner ridge and the outer ridge. Okay, somebody's been here. And now that I look at this even more, somebody has been here, because the brake dust shield is missing. It's completely MIA. Now, in fairness, when I assembled the driver's side, I did not buy new dust shields, and I was not taking the hub, or I was not separating the hub from the knuckle to get the brake dust shield, so the driver's side doesn't have one. This side looks like, well, it looks like it had one, but it looks like it left the chat at some point long ago. Now what I'm going to do is use another jack, and I'm going to jack up right here to support this spring and lower control arm so that we can start disassembling the knuckle. The beauty part that I noticed when I did the driver's side is all of the bolts, the bolt for the upper control arm, the bolt for the lower control arm, and the bolt for the trailing arm, they're all size 15. Looks like there was some intelligent engineering at Ford. We use the same damn size. And I didn't really have to use impacts. Everything just came apart. Okay. That was until I got to this side. I might have to go get my impact and zip this out. I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, let's get this bolt. Then we're over here on the front. I'm going to use the impact on that one. Probably after I get it loose. Let's see, can I impact the rest of these out? Apparently not that one. I wonder if that bushing is tearing inside. Well, the driver's side was much easier than this side. I'm going to reposition my jack. There we go. Ooh. Shit. Well, come on. The driver's side wasn't this challenging. Well, it's about damn time. Ooh, bitch is hot. Yeah, somebody's been here, because I don't know if you're gonna be able to focus, but that bolt's missing some threads. You'll see right here at the end of my thumb. It's missing threads. Somebody's been here. This is why you don't reuse hardware. Okay, let's move you guys on this side and we'll focus over here. Actually, we'll do the upper shock too. All right, the upper shock mount is a size 10, and you're gonna want an extension long enough so that your ratchet will clear the top of the wheel well. I don't think I need a size 1/2 inch drive to do this. Well, come on. There we go. Now that should be hand tight. Oh my gosh. There. There's one. Ford says to discard the hardware that you remove, but does not specify that these bolts are torque to yield, which is probably why whoever did this job before me replaced everything or reused all of the what the fudge? Maybe I should have done this side off camera and done the other side on camera, because the other side was hella easier than this thing is. Okay. I'm going to use the impact and loosen the shock bolt at the bottom. Or not, because it's tight. We're gonna need to break it loose. Ouch. Holy hell. Somebody was definitely here. Obviously these shocks are replaced, but I don't think they followed the torque procedure, because that lower shock mount bolt only goes to 85 foot-pounds. What the hell? Holy son of a bitch. So I made an executive decision to not fight that shock and just leave it attached. Right now we're looking at the forward control arm. There's two bolts here, one here behind this wiring harness, thank you Ford, and there's one right here at the end of my finger. I think what I'm gonna do is remove this Christmas tree and remove this Christmas tree to allow me access to this bolt that's right there. That's what we're gonna do. All right. So we got this wiring harness removed. We have a bolt right here. We got one right there. I'm gonna see if I can just use the impact and zip tie them out. And zip them out. And in doing this, they are a size 15. You are going to need an extension. Let's see how this works. Cover your ears. It's gonna get loud. Also, don't have your head underneath there. It's probably going to be easier than if I crack them loose. And then I don't have 13 years of shit come crashing on my forehead. What do you think? I also think it's probably too expensive for you guys to be under. I need a bigger extension. All right, here we go. Oh my God. Well, these are a little, tight. How tight is this one? Oh my God. Okay. Now I'm gonna move you guys back and see if I can't zip tie those out. Or zap them out. All right, let's see how this works now. I don't want to. Okay. Oh, come on. All right, that's good. Now, loosen this other one up. And Ohio shit's falling in my... Oh, you bitch. All right. Now that part's done. Now the next thing is, you got the speed sensor wire that's right here. It's got a Christmas tree in this hole, and it's got one over here at the end of my finger you can't see. And it's also got one back here on the knuckle. You want to get a pry tool and pry out that Christmas tree. The next two bolts to remove are the upper control arm with the bracket and this lower control arm nut, or this lower control arm bolt. Now, these should zap out. Oh, that was already out. Ow, I just stabbed this, so, okay. That one's out. The next one that goes is this top one. There we go. Now, there's a lot of weight that's right here. So I left the two bolts into the body, just hand tight there to support this until I can make sure that this isn't gonna fall on me. So I'm gonna put one of these bolts back in to hold it. There. I'm not saying it's going to hold it that well. I'm just saying be extremely careful. Now we oh, okay. Oh, well, the other bolt bounced out. Okay, so now we're not even in it. Okay. There's the bolt. Is the other? I thought I had the other one. Nope. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. Okay. Now, hypothetically, this was more of a challenge than the driver's side, that's for damn sure. Okay, there we go. Now, we gotta watch what we're doing with the brake caliper. We just want to set it there for a second, and I should be able to pull this forward, kind of like that. Now you gotta be careful because I have a speed sensor that I need to watch out for and disconnect. Like that. And then you also gotta make sure the wiring harnesses that were over here that we've shown, that as you pull this down, you don't clip those wiring harnesses. And there's the whole knuckle. That's it. I don't know why I couldn't get that shock removed. And then this is the bushing that on the driver's side was MIA. And you can see this one is kind of partly becoming MIA. You could go to Dorman and get a new bushing here and push this bushing out and push a new one in. But I needed a new hub here as well. And my thought process was, rather than going to Dorman, removing this arm, pushing the old bushing out, push the new one in, and then fight the bolts to get the hub out, to use the same knuckle, I just ordered a whole brand new knuckle with the new bushing already installed, and then I could put a new hub on the new knuckle arm and put everything in as one unit. That's the plan. Does it create extra waste? Yes, because this arm is technically still good. Just put a new bushing in and it's good to go. But as far as DIY goes, in my opinion, versus in my time and in my skill set, to me, it was easier to spend the $200 for a whole new arm that come with a new bushing. And it's easier then to bolt the new hub to the new arm and then bolt the whole arm in as one assembly, rather than fighting all this rust and corrosion just to reuse this arm. I'll pass. I'll spend the $200, make my life easier. Let me know what you would do down below. Now I'm going to remove this forward lower control arm, and then I'm going to get the pressure washer out, and I'm going to spray the inside of this down off camera. And then we're going to come back and then we're going to put the new hub in the new knuckle and put everything in place. Let's get this out of my damn way. Oh, you know what? Oh, I don't know. The new hub came with a new speed sensor, so I don't think I have to remove this one. Lord, I hope not. Okay, now while I'm in here then, I'm going to inspect these bushings. This lower bushing is pretty much gone, it's disintegrated. It's still there, but it's on its last legs. I might need a new control arm at some point, lower one. Now, there's the forward lower control arm. I got a new one of these. This is the upper control arm. I did not replace mine. There is 2 versions that you can get. There's actually 3. So there's a stamped steel version that I have, the plain Jane one. There's one that gives a plus 75 camber, I think. And then there's another one that has a bracket welded onto it in case your, I think, Escape or C-Max, if it has the active park assist and self-leveling feature, that bracket on the upper control arm is what that's for. It mounts to that sensor. I ordered from Tosca and I meant to replace these control arms, and Tosca's like, well, the control arm that you selected doesn't fit your vehicle. And I'm like, well, what's the other one? The other one's like $600. So I told them to put a pin in that and I'll do some research. They refunded me my money because these arms are like $100. I want to see what this bushings look like in the back. How the hell are you supposed to get to that bolt back up in there? Yeah, that's going to be a bitch. Because that bolt that's going to be a pain. How are you supposed to get to that? Okay. Anyway, can't tell the bushing, but it looks okay. This bushing looks okay. And I bought new arms, so I'm just going to take this arm out. It shouldn't be that hard to pull this arm out. We just need a size 15. We're going to go on this bolt that's right here. Now, the tank's in the way, but my 1/2-inch drive barely fits this. Holy crap. Okay, there we go. $15. Oh, wrong way, wrong way. 15. Oh, Jesus. I got most of this out now. There we go. There we go. And, well, I don't think this, oh yeah, somebody's definitely been here. This is what I saw on the driver's side. See how white that bolt is? That's anti-seize. The whole bolt is covered in anti-seize. Why? Just, oh crap. And the whole inside of this barrel is covered in anti-seize. And these arms are not even Motorcraft. It also looks like this looks like there's a small side and what appears to be a larger side. So I'm assuming on the Motorcraft one, we're gonna, damn it, we're gonna want the small side to the frame and the larger side towards the knuckle. And I'm assuming this goes in the front because this has this void right here. So I'm assuming the void faces the rear because that's how I took it off. All right, with that out of the way, we're gonna take a quick break, or at least I am, because my camera keeps overheating. And I'm gonna get the pressure washer out and I'm gonna spray all this out. And I have some rust encapsulator primer that I'm gonna try and go through and encapsulate some of this rust while I'm in here, where I can. And when we come back, I will assemble the new hub on the new knuckle and then put everything in as one unit. All right, now while the area is drying, oh, by the way, all of that is what came out of the wheel wells and the subframe. So while that's drying, I'm now going to do my hub on the passenger side. Oh, we got our hubs here. See, this is the hub, the Motorcraft hub. And you can see how this has a ridge and it has these dimples. The hub that I took off did not look like that. So that tells me that they replaced the hub at one point. Oh, what the fuck? The speed sensor's busted. Oh wait, can I take the speed sensor off of that hub? That is exactly what I did. So now I have an extra speed sensor. Well, I'll take the other speed sensor off the other hub too, because I don't know if these speed sensors are sold separately or not. What does this say? T20 star. Let me just take this off and hopefully pull that out. Sweet. And then this should, oh, we need a new O-ring. Is there grease? Is that O-ring damaged? I don't know if the O-ring is damaged. I'm gonna get a little bit of dielectric grease and put on that. We're gonna put a little bit, what the hell? Why is my tube, oh, I wonder if the cap is cracked and it's just leaking out the front of the tube. So we're gonna put this O-ring with some grease and set that back down in there, like so. Or, let's not lose our speed sensor here. I'm just gonna put it all over this casing and then put that in there. Well, that doesn't fit. What about this O-ring? This O-ring looks smaller. Actually, I guess they both look the same. Alright, so we're going to try and push this O-ring in there. And then do that. And then hand tight this down. So now I'm going to use this Q-tip here and just kind of go around the outside edge of this connector with some dielectric grease. There we go. I'll put some around here at the edge too. There. given that this hub is a flat face, and given that this knuckle is a flat face, I'm going to put some anti-seize gingerly on the face of this hub. So that if I have to pull this hub off, it won't be a nightmare. And I'm also going to make sure that I'm not getting anti-seize inside the threads where the hub bolts go. There we go. Now this only goes on one way, and these bolts are torqued to 81 foot-pounds. So this should sit like this, and this, oh, let's turn this around this way, and it should sit just like this. That's how we're going to do it. Now you're probably going to want something on the side here to support this arm as you do this. And I'm preferring to do this outside of the vehicle versus putting this new knuckle in and then trying to reach inside this cavern right here while it's on the vehicle, fighting everything on the ground. Yeah, I'm not about all that. I got new bolts as well because I was not fighting the old ones to come apart. Now, there is a torque sequence. You start where the sensor is, to the left of it, and then you go clockwise every other bolt. So the bolt is, since this is opposite of me because this arm is on my right rather than on my left, I'm going to start in the top right corner and hand tighten them in to set them, and then they get torqued to 81 foot-pounds in the crisscross pattern, if you call it that. And the bolts are a T or an E16. You're probably gonna want an oh, you little bitch. You're probably gonna want an extension because you are going down inside this. There's one, there's two. Let me do the last one. .81 foot-pounds. In a crisscross fashion. Set this to 81. Now the procedure says 81. I'm going to try like 83 just because I don't know how accurate my torque wrench is. Oh, that's actually kind of a challenge. Make sure that says 81. There we go. There we go. That's actually kind of challenging when you have the arm trying to move. Now we can go ahead and put this back on the vehicle. And then if you see at the end here, you will see a line of the anti-seize around. And that's what we want. Of course, if you have your brake shield, you put your brake shield on before you put your hub on. My brake shield obviously was MIA, and the driver's side one, it became MIA because I was not fighting the old hub to take it off. Now we go back down below and reassemble everything. Now that we have everything in place, it's time to reassemble. And you reassemble everything by hand, and you have to set the vehicle down on its own weight, and then you torque down the bolts for the forward control arm, the upper control arm here, and then the lower control arm down here, plus the new one that we have to install in over here. when I had done the driver's side, this part was a bitch. Was a monumental bitch to do. Nothing wanted to go my way or go right at all. It was just, it was a frustrating experience trying to get all this to line up. So what I'm going to learn is to not be a mechanic by day. That's what we're going to learn. I'm going to start with the lower control arm bolt. And that gets this up in the way, or ow, it at least gets this kind of up here and connected. I do need a new lower control arm bushing right here. I don't know if I want to push this one out and press a new one in, or at that point replace this control arm, but I think that's a project for another day. Given that I only drive 7,000 miles a year at the moment, I don't know how much driving ability this is going to affect. I know it's going to affect something. It might affect my alignment on the rear, because the rear camber or the rear toe in and out is done by the rear camber bolt back in the back where my orange jack is sitting at. I might have to replace the control arm. That might be a next year project. At the moment where we're at right now, we're gonna sit with it just fits, although this one is much more crusty and in much worse shape than the driver's side. However, the inner sleeve is not actually moving, so that might be a good thing. So we have to start on this side, and we lift this up on here, because this, oh, actually, you know what I might do? Switch bolts and tack it in up here. Well, everything is in my way right now. You just need to stay up there. I need to remove this felt back so that I can get this up in here without fucking up the wires. Alright, so this, we're just going to hang this right there. Now that's hanging. That's good. That's good that it's hanging. Now we why is this not wanting to come in here? Oh. Okay. And then we got our front trailing arm. We're gonna put this in back here. And then it's gonna mount right here where my hand is at. This one is the one that gave me the most trouble on the other side, because none of these damn holes wanted to line up at all. Not a single one. Ow. Ow. Now that went in there perfectly. Okay. Now we just have to get this lower control arm up in here. Up in here. Why doesn't this not want to go up in there? There. Ow. What in the heck? I'm gonna put in now when you put these bolts in, it's gonna look like they're threaded. The first portion of the threads are not exactly as deep as the rear portion. So do not be alarmed. But do be alarmed on how much this is going to be a pain in the ass. Because I can assure you, you're going to lose your shit. Let me just knock all of my stuff over. Okay. That almost hit me in the head. Okay. There we go. Now, we're not hand tight. We're all loosey-goosey with everything here. I gotta get this control arm here maybe I'll just push this jack up. What the heck? Well, now everything just seems to be not wanting to work. What the heck? What the hell? It's always something with one side or the other. Well, why wasn't this? What the fuck? Well, that's rather interesting. Of course. I don't even have anything tightened down, and everything is so jammed tight now. There. Why? What in the hell is this fucking arm bent? finally. Well, that was a bitch. It was a major bitch. Bastards. Now we gotta play musical bolt hole. Find the hole here and push. And we gotta find the hole down there too. Because this is kind of where you might definitely lose your patience with trying to get all these aligned. Because they might be aligned, but then they might not line up the other side. And it does become infuriating. Well, we are definitely in the hole here. There we go. I think we're threaded through the nut on the other side. All right. Now I'm just gonna put that hand tight. Now we're gonna move on this side so you can see what I'm doing over here. Now, we've got the front trailing arm, which sits right here. And then we have the upper trailing arm bolt, which sits right here. I did not replace my trailing arm bolt, or my trailing arm. I kept the original one. This is gonna be the most challenging part of the build, is getting all these to line up. Because for some reason, they don't really line up that well. Oh, that bushing's still good. Now, I need to tilt this whole unit back so that this bolt catches the threads on the nut that's on the knuckle. The problem is, what if we, come on. See how much tension there is? I can't really. There's so much tension, I can't even remove the bolt. There's no threads in this section. There's no threads right here. The threads are only on the bolt, on the nut side. So you see how this springs up? Well, that's part of the problem at the moment is it springs up, and then I have to push the knuckle forward towards the car and push that whole damn pushing down. And that's where there we go. So that's where you have to have some finesse to be pushing this up and towards the car while trying to push that arm down so you can get the bolt to thread inside the hole. So I finished tightening this in by hand. Now we just have 2 bolts left to do. This guy right here and the one in the back. Now these are already threaded. At least they better be already threaded. If not, we're going to be fighting the same thing that we was just fighting. I don't know if this is threading or not. Oh, I don't think this is threading at all. It is not threading at all. So what I gotta do is I gotta pry this down so that I can, there we go. All right, that one's threaded. So to do that, I used a little trim pry tool. I put it down here at the bottom and I pried this way and I pushed up to bring the forward control arm down to align the bolt with the nut. All right, that one's done. Now we go back to the back one. Now, we just rinse and repeat again for this back bolt. This might be more of a challenge depending on what size equipment you have because the fuel tank's right here. So I have a deep well 1/2-inch socket with a 1/2-inch ratchet, which is probably too big to be back here. But I don't have a full size set of 3/8 inch yet. That's probably a bad idea to hold that like that. I can't get my hand in there. Well, son of a bitch. There we go. All right, the last 2 bolts to do are the front 2 bolts for this arm. Now, to do this, you're gonna want a long extension to bring your ratchet below the car. These are also hand tight until the car is under its own weight. And then these get torqued to like 130 foot-pounds. And it does not say if you stagger back and forth as you tighten them. The shop manual does not specify that. Just that they go to hand tight. Then you put the car under its own weight. And then you torque it down. While you're under here, as you saw earlier, the brake cable for the e-brake is going to be in your way, as well as that harness. So don't go ahead and here ham, or you might ruin one of these wirings, and then you really be up shit creek. What am I hitting? The lower end of the knuckle. I will have to say this side for these bolts is going in a lot better than the other side. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to use my green jack, and I'm going to jack this up. There's supposed to be a measurement from the middle of this hub to the top of this fender. I didn't have that measurement, but there's supposed to be a measurement. But I'm going to lift this up to mimic the vehicle underweight. And then, let's move you guys in a little closer here. This bolt, the rear bolt, this top bolt, and the bottom bolt that's where my glove's at, those are all 85 foot-pounds. I might actually go 90. So it's 85 foot-pounds is the actual torque spec. I'm going to go 90 foot-pounds just because my wrench actually isn't calibrated, or it hasn't been. So I'm going to take that 5 pounds variance to account for that. That one's torqued. Ooh. That one's torqued. And that one's torqued. Click, click. You don't keep doing that, you'll ruin your torque wrench. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you like the mechanical torque style wrenches, or do you like the digital ones that make the beeping sound? Let me know what you think down below. Now these forward bolts, let's move you right here physically. The two bolts that are underneath here, these get torqued to 130 foot-pounds. There's one click. Oh, two clicks. Two clicks. Oh. Now all I gotta do is put the brakes back together. And we're pretty much done. Which is good, because this project was like all day. I have to loosen this top bolt because I forgot the damn bracket. Ay, vey. And you know what's funny? Did the same thing on the driver's side. Also like to note that in Ford's workshop manual, it does not specify any of these bolts are torque to yield. It just says replace all of them. If they're not stripped out and the threads are not damaged, hypothetically, your car, your decision, you could reuse them. Hypothetically, you could get a cutoff wheel and cut the bottom of this off so then it just sits on top of the bolt. Now, what I'm going to do is take the speed sensor, put its Christmas trees back in, and reconnect it to the hub. I just realized this speed sensor better fit. This cabling better fit the one that's in that inside that hub. Because if I have to wait from Tosca to send me a new one, I'm going to lose my mind. I have a light. It's getting close to the end of the day now. Oh, cool. All right. I don't want to be driving down the road and realize, hey, I have an ABS fault because I have a speed sensor not reading. Now, before I move on to the brakes, we're going to do the shock. And that is hopefully pretty straightforward to do. Two bolts at the top. They're a size 10. They get torqued to 18 foot-pounds. I would prefer to put the shock in this way. And then go up. So now we got to put our shock up here. We're going to want a long extension for this. They go to 18 foot-pounds. I don't know if you want to measure that or if you're just going to say that's hand tight. Let me know down in the comments. Do you torque at, or do you just say it's hand tight? I'm not that experienced with hand tight, so I'm going to torque it. Oh, well, that was pretty easy. 18 foot-pounds. All right, that part's done. Yippee-ki-yay. Now the bottom portion of this is going to be this bolt with no threads right here. This is going to be a pain in the ass. And this gets torqued to 85 foot-pounds. But it does not have, the suspension does not have to be under load to do this. All right. And this was a challenge on the driver's side. Because there's no band per se. So as you're screwing this in, the shock is pushing down. I don't know why there's no rubber band to keep the shock kind of like compressed, but there's not. All right. Come on. I think I probably should step down to a 3/8 inch ratchet. Probably get a set for sockets for this and use this to torque that down. So now the last part's done. Now we do our brakes. Now we do our brakes. I'm going to put some anti-seize. So this is a Motorcraft rotor. I'm going to put some anti-seize on the outside lip of this rotor and on the inside lip, because I am definitely going to have to do a brake job at some point. Give this rotor a quick clean. What is all over my rotor now? There we go. Give that a quick clean. Do the front. There we go. Wipe anything off. Okay. There. Now, we do our bracket. This gets torqued to 52 foot-pounds. If I can find the hole. Why am I not? There we go. We need a size 13. Go in through the back. There we go. There we go. torque them down, 52. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. Probably don't need the extension on that one. Perfect. Now, the procedure does not specify about using grease, brake grease, on the slide pins or on the ears of the pads. This follows more like a European kind of style, because I think my i3 is the same way. But because we live in the north, or I live in the north, where there's snow and there's rust, I'm going to put some grease on these ears. But your vehicle, you do what you want. All right. Now we put the pads back on. Just like so. Make sure they're okay. The ears are okay. Definitely gonna have to do a brake job at some point, probably in the fall. And then we put the caliper back on. Well, we try to put this caliper back on. What am I missing? There we go. Well, what the hell? There. Perfect. Now the guide pins do not get grease. They sit inside these boots like a European, similar to the European style. And then somebody found something to go yell at. What the fudge am I missing here? Oh, here we go. So now I'm just trying to put these slide pins back in place. What the hell? There we go. Can't see down here. So this is fighting me now. There's no threads inside these boots, but these slide pins do not want to go in there. And I'm still fighting this stupid thing. Now. God damn it. Oh. Okay. There we go. So the top one finally goes in. And I don't think you can over torque it because I think it just stops at the threads. This bottom one, is not wanting to go in. I'm not understanding why it doesn't want to go in. And these Harbor Freight lights are nice, but their magnet sucks. Hopefully, I don't know if this bottom one's going in, other than it's just spinning. No, it's not going in at all. Finally. Well, come on. It's like you gotta push this guide pin in for it to catch on the threads. There we go. I actually don't even know if it's catching the threads or not. Oh, finally. "26 foot-pounds is what these get torqued to. Not that I think that's going to really matter, because I think the threads are going to bottom out anyway. Yeah, I think once the thread's bottomed out, that's pretty much the torque spec. Yep. Okay. Now we got to put our caps in. And this front spring, I'm going to put a little bit of caliper grease on the edge of these springs, so that just in case they don't get corroded inside this caliper. You little bitch. Come on. Come on. Give me my glove. Well, come on. Give me my glove. There we go. I would say anything's a hammer if you're brave enough. You bitch. Apparently that wasn't going to work the way I thought it was. Is it always this complicated? Okay, so the spring is back, and then off camera I put this bolt back together, and this e-brake right here, this goes back in the frame, and then this bolt goes back in to hold this in place. Be sure to put this wiring loom back in place and put this one back. The project is done, and it was quite a hell of a project to do. Estimated time, at least for me, on both sides took all day. We're about 10 hours or so. That's also with filming and with breaks thrown in. And at one point, I actually put up my canopy because I have the giant afternoon sun beating down on me. That being said, there was some nuances with each side. Some of the nuances were random stuff. Like on the driver's side, I had to fight to get the caliper off. It must have been locked up or something. It did not want to come apart from the bracket. The bolt just kept spinning. The control arm has, you can see, lost its bushing some time ago. So removing the bolts from the control arm to the body on the driver's side was so much resistance that it took probably 20 minutes to remove both of these bolts just to get the control arm out. And then the trailing arm, the lower trailing arm on the driver's side, I could not get aligned up. Both, if it was aligned up on the body, it would not align up on the knuckle, and if I got it aligned on the knuckle, then it did not want to align on the body. That was another like 15 minutes just to get the damn thing to align. As for the passenger side, the only nuance I had was getting the caliper reassembled. I could not get the bottom bolt to thread in the carrier that well, or the bracket that well. Outside of that, it was pretty straightforward. I didn't have any broken bolts. I didn't have any bolts that I had to go and cut. Everything did come apart. And with that, I want to propose you a question, and I want to know what your thoughts are. So let me know down below the like button in the comment section. And that is the first thought is, do you penny pinch? And what I mean is, as you see, the bushing is MIA on this driver's side control arm. So the control arm has to come out to replace this bushing. And I can go to Dorman and I can get a replacement bushing, and I can press the old race out and press the new bushing in. But I'm also replacing the hub. And these bolts are pretty rusted right here. So once this arm is already out, I'm gonna have to remove these bolts. Hopefully they come out. And then I'm gonna have to spend time knocking this hub off of this knuckle to replace the hub. So my question is, when you're penny pinching, would you reuse the arm and spend the time and the frustration of pressing out the old race to press in the new bushing and spend the time to knock off the old hub? And would you reuse the old hardware for the hub and the old hardware, well, in general? Like, would you reuse this bolt? Versus what I did was I bought all new stuff. I didn't reuse anything. In fact, I don't even have a brake shield. This is the brake shield for the driver's side. I didn't remove it to put it back on the vehicle. So now I have no brake shields in the rear. But I asked that because these control arms are $200 a piece. So right there is $400 just the new control arms. Now they do come with a new bushing. And then the bolts for the hub, that's another $150 for all 8 of them. So in my mind, I was okay with spending the money up front. So that way, when I reassembled everything, I put a new hub with new bolts on a new control arm. And as you saw, I put everything in as one unit. Even I got new bolts for the shocks, because right here, this bolt is seized inside this knuckle. I don't think it's coming out. And one of the lower shock bolt for the driver's side, there was actually missing threads. So my question then is, do you reuse as much as you can to save money, or do you just say the hell with it and spend the money up front to save your time and frustration on the back end, like what I did? That's why I asked, where do you draw the line between trying to reuse old hardware and just saying the hell with it and buying all new? I'm curious of what your thoughts are. Let me know down below the like button in the comment section. For more content posted this year, click this playlist. For more content about my C-Max, click the FAR playlist. And to subscribe, click the Ford button.